Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 171. If you want clarity about your life and or your business, you can schedule a one-on-one coaching session with me. You can send an email to fr@francesrichards.com. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Most millennials are confused and overwhelmed by the retirement process. They're excited about retiring. They just have no idea how they can save enough. Jason Young, founder and CEO of MindBlown Labs, provides strategy insight to engage millennials in the retirement process. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Dr. Frances. It is wonderful to be here.
My pleasure. Listen, I have given our audience such a brief bio about you. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your company?
Sure. Where I would start is that, I've really made it my life's work to help people to financially self-actualize. And, what that means to me is I want people to reach their full potential, whatever that looks like for them. And money is something that it really is just a tool. But for a lot of people, I think the thing that happens is there's this intimidation factor, or they just aren't equipped to make the right choices. And so something that should be a tool for their advancement ends up holding them back. My goal has always been to flip that dynamic so that people's money works for them and helps to advance the things that they care about. MindBlown Labs was founded really with a mission of empowering people to make better financial decisions, but in doing so, helping them to find their path to financial self-actualization. And so we actually started off making mobile games to teach kids about personal finance. And what we realized was that we had the ability to not only educate, but to change attitudes and ultimately behaviors. And eventually we evolved to what we do now, which is we're a financial wellness innovation lab. And what that means is that we create highly engaging digital solutions, things like apps, that are focused on nudging people toward the right financial decisions for them. And, we partner with large financial institutions, also some nonprofits, and we help them to engage younger audiences, particularly millennials, some Gen Z, and in doing so, connect with them on an emotional level and ultimately push them towards making good financial decisions.
So, Jason, is your background in finance? How did you get to this point to start this amazing company?
I'm from Inglewood, California, and there are a few things about me that really put me on this path. First of all, my father was a drug dealer, and he spent a lot of his adult life in prison. Secondly, I grew up primarily with my mom, and we always struggled with money growing up. So I think there was a part of me that always desired financial stability. And as a result, I became an entrepreneur at age 9, starting small ventures. And, and part of that goal was to earn money, very simply. And I realized as I was on that journey that I loved creating things. Fast forward, I became the first in my family to graduate from college. But before I graduated, during my sophomore year, I came home for Christmas break. And the day after Christmas, my family was evicted. And that experience just really, more than anything, drove home just how important financial decision making is. And it instilled in me a real passion to not only make better decisions for myself, but to also help other people make better financial decisions. So fast forward, I graduated from Harvard with a degree in economics. I went to work for Merrill Lynch on the private wealth side as part of the new product creation team. And then eventually I joined a technology startup that was focused on helping young adults make better investment decisions. And while I was doing that, I was actually volunteering on the side, helping people, young people, with their finances at just a much more basic level. And while I was doing that, what just became really apparent to me was that there's such a huge need in this area. And I wanted to find a way to do something to solve the problems I was seeing at scale. I called my best friends, and together we eventually founded MindBlown Labs. That was kind of my path on this journey: finance, technology, entrepreneurship.
So when you first started at Harvard, were you studying finance and money and business, or did you take a different path?
Yeah, so I was always interested in entrepreneurship. Harvard didn't have entrepreneurship. I ended up studying economics as my major because that was kind of the closest thing they had to it.
And what was your first venture, Jason, at 9 years old?
So, and my first venture was actually, there was a candy called Sour Power. At the time, you could only get it off the ice cream truck. And ice cream truck only came once a day. But I found, you couldn't get it in the store. But I found one place that would sell it to me in bulk. I had had my first little job the summer before, and I used my savings from that job to buy a bunch of Sour Power, and I resold it for a profit at school.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing. Tell us what you are most grateful for right now in your life, Jason.
That's a hard question. I mean, I feel like I have so much to be grateful for. Obviously we're in the midst of COVID-19 and I have my health. I'm extremely grateful for that. And my family has their health. I'm incredibly grateful for that. They have their health, they have their jobs, they're doing well. I would say after those things, I think the thing that I am grateful for is opportunity. I'm in the process of exploring a number of new different business ventures, and I have that capability. And it's exciting, it's joyous. I'm pursuing my passion, which is amazing. And I compare that, to say my father, who, I mentioned he was a drug dealer. He spent a lot of his adult life in prison, and he was a brilliant, brilliant man. He predicted, the whole move to the cloud and the iPhone in the early 90s from a jail cell without access to a computer, right? He told me, he said, you guys got to start a technology company. And he was referring to my brother and I. He was this brilliant man who never really wanted to be a drug dealer, kept us as far away from that life as he could, but strategized with my mother to provide me with good education. And he never had the opportunities that I had. I am just so thankful that I have these opportunities and that I have this gift of being able to pursue the things that I'm passionate about and do that for a living.
Jason, thank you so much for taking such a personal story and giving it a positive spin and giving a shout out to your dad. Despite the road that he went down, you could see what he was trying to convey to you. And so many people are in situations with their fathers or mothers that they make decisions and they don't really understand that impacts their lives it could be in a negative way. So thank you so much for sharing where your family took the lemon and made lemonade. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
What problem exists in the world today, Jason, that you would like to solve?
Oh, man, there's so many problems that I would love to solve. But I think that the problem that one of the problems that I'm really trying to address is, and I think I mentioned this a little bit, is that you have a lot of people out there, many of my family members, included, who have so much potential, and they are not able to fully access that potential because they spend so much time, worried about money, and sometimes the money itself holds them back. Like I mentioned, I was the first in my family to graduate from college. I was not the first in my family to attend college. My middle brother, Patrick, who is about 8 years older than me, he actually went to college before me, but parents ran out of money and, he had to drop out. So that had a major impact on his life. Unfortunately, he is now on a great path. He has a career, he's doing well, but, that set him back like 10 years. And my goal would be to help as many people as possible to reach their full potential and not have money be the barrier that is holding them back.
How do you believe we could do that?
I think it's got to be a concerted effort. I spent the last, 10 plus years developing technology that was focused on doing that. I have started nonprofits. I've started a nonprofit that is focused on training Black male youth in technology creation, entrepreneurship, and leadership to create career pathways to the technology industry so that they can earn more money. And I say this to say is I don't actually have all the answers. I've been doing a lot of different stuff to try to get us there. I think ultimately I would love to see financial education as a mandate that has to be taught in school, starting at elementary school. That's what I would love to see. I would also love to see better regulations that make the financial system work for normal people, because I think that it's got to be some combination of knowledge and skills, so helping people to know the things that they need to do, training them to do those right things, but they also have to, but environment oftentimes determines outcomes. And so we also have to literally change the environment and make it less predatory. And so all these things have to happen. And in the meantime, I'm sure we can see we have serious issues on the political front these days. But in the meantime, I think we cannot wait for those things to happen, or we must continue to advocate for them. I think it is very important to create tools and solutions that help people right now. And that is something that I've been working on, as I mentioned, for over a decade. I'm in the process of researching and hopefully standing up a new solution that would provide just financial advice to the average person, as well as education, and as well as invest on their behalf. That's a long-winded answer, but to sum it up, I guess I would say is we literally need to change the way that the United States educate people about money and the way that we regulate our financial institutions. But in the meantime, we must create tools and resources for our communities to ensure that they continue to move forward.
Jason, what can we do right now to support your business?
So right now, I would say my email is jason@mindblownlabs.com. And I think there are two things that I would say. So one is a lot of the work that we do right now is partnering with financial institutions who are interested in engaging young adult audiences. If you have contacts at those financial institutions or you run a financial institution, I would love to hear from you because we always need more connections. And the second thing is I am in the process, we're always looking at how we can move the needle, create new solutions. One of the things that I'm also doing is creating a solution that is focused on young adults who want to start investing and who would like advice and guidance as they go along that process. I would also love to hear from folks if they are in that young adult audience or they even have expertise, on the marketing side around that. Because we're doing research and also once we have a solution created, we love to reach out to folks. And so once again, my email is jason@mindblownlabs.com.
What advice, Jason, did you get that you wish you had followed?
I think that if I could say actually two pieces, one is a piece of advice I got, and one is advice that I wish I had gotten. So the first piece of advice is investing. And starting as early as humanly possible, I started investing, maybe when I was 18, but I wasn't consistent around investing until I was in my late 20s. And so one piece of advice that I wish I had followed more thoroughly was to continually invest, no matter how much little money I had, even if it was like $10 a month, $20 a month, consistently throughout my 20s, because time is such a powerful multiplier. And in doing those little steps can literally result in someone having hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars more than they would otherwise. Now, the piece of advice that I didn't get, that I wish I had gotten, was simply that people make the world go round. You hear money makes the world go round. Money is really important, but people really drive everything. And you don't really do anything alone. You want to start a business, you want to raise a family, you need support. You hear the term networking thrown around, and really I think networking is not a great term. It really should be relationship building. And I wish that I had been taught how to build, establish, and cultivate relationships well before I graduated from high school. And the advice that I now give to people, especially younger people, is to meet and cultivate a relationship with just 5 to 10 new folks a year. And I give this advice to high school students. And I tell them to reach out to adults, reach out to folks who are doing interesting things, whether they be entrepreneurs, whether they be business people, whether they be doctors, lawyers, whoever, and just to have a conversation with them, and then to drop them an email a few times a year, just with updates, and then just do that for 10 years and see what kind of relationships you end up with, because those relationships can enrich your lives in your business and career pursuits in all types of ways that you could never imagine.
And so who taught you that, Jason?
I think I want to say that it's something that I observed over time. And I was fortunate. I think I kind of stumbled into it. I was always, because I was an entrepreneur and I had an entrepreneurial spirit, I was always meeting new people and reaching out to new people because I was always trying to do something. And over time, what I found was that as I stayed in touch with people, things would just happen. Things didn't happen the way I thought they would happen oftentimes, but they would happen. And it might be 5 years after the fact, 10 years after the fact. But I saw how even by the time I would say like 25 or 26, I saw how these relationships which had formed organically that I hadn't thought about, that was kind of there, but how suddenly these people would show up in my life. And then, obviously not everybody, but people would show up in my life and many times do these amazing things, or in some cases I was able to do amazing things with them or do amazing things for them. And it was unplanned. And the other thing is, when I went to Harvard for the first time, one of the things I saw was that the folks there who come from different backgrounds, they knew the game. They were networking, they were doing these things, and they had been taught it from a very early age. I kind of just saw that, oh wow, I don't really know how to do this. I hadn't been doing this, I hadn't been thinking about this. And so that's when I started. I didn't truly start to understand it until I was older, though, until I was in my probably mid to late 20s. But I saw other people doing it, and I kind of just observed. And I'm a big fan of learning from watching other people.
Talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
I would say, it's funny, you say most. And whenever you say most, I struggle because I feel like there are so many. But if I can, I will give two, and I'll be brief. The first moment was, one of the first moments was 2016. I poured my heart and soul into getting my company off the ground, and we ran out of money. And I had to lay off my entire team. And I think it was, probably the first time as an adult that I cried. And I realized at that point that I hadn't really been taking care of myself, even though I pursued my passion, and that I needed the path that I was on really wasn't sustainable and that I was exhausted. At that point, I really shifted how I was doing things. And I'm still very passionate. I'm still taking care. I'm still pursuing those passions. But now I also spend a lot of time focusing on self-care and taking care of myself and, just making sure that I'm fully enjoying life. I don't always succeed, but it's become a real focus. And fortunately, weirdly enough, a few months later, some of the deals I tried to negotiate landed. So I ended up hiring back my parts of my team, and we grew the business and had our most profitable years after that. That was a major lesson and a major turning point. And then one of the other very memorable moments was I was walking one day and I just got a call out of the blue, and it was from the United States Treasury Department, and it was from the White House. And they said, some folks at the Treasury Department were really impressed by you, and they recommended to President Obama that he appoint you to its Council on Financial Capability for Young Americans. And I was absolutely shocked because it wasn't something I had even applied for. I didn't know how to get on that council, and I got a call out of the blue, which, doesn't generally happen. And it was, and it turned out that, going back to this idea of cultivating relationships, I had randomly met somebody at a conference. They introduced me to somebody else. I had a conversation with these folks from the Treasury Department. Didn't think much of it. Didn't think anything would come of it. But I stayed in touch. We started to talk, eventually built a relationship. And lo and behold, one day I got a call for an opportunity that I did not even know existed. And so that was a memorable moment that just really drove home to me, how powerful it is to make authentic connections with people.
Congratulations. That was a great story. Thank you for sharing. Jason, you talked about self-care. What does self-care look like to Jason?
Yeah, so I guess what I would say is that I'm an extreme introvert, which means I need a lot of alone time. Taking a long time for myself is definitely part of my self-care and absolute necessity. But because I've been an introvert my whole life, and because I've always needed a long time, it means that I'm pretty reflective. In fact, sometimes in the past I can spend too much time in my head. But having that self-reflection means that I tend to feel pretty quickly if something is out of whack. And so self-care, I would say first and foremost, means listening to myself and taking a pulse of how I feel and making adjustments. Now, I think a practical, the practical application of that is I know for myself that physical activity is very important to me. I would say that COVID-19, while I'm very blessed to be in a good position going through this and have my health and be financially stable, it has been hard for me because I'm used to going to the gym. I had my kickboxing routine down. I had my weightlifting routine down. I was loving it. Being physically active is very important to me. Taking time to read. I love reading fantasy. Making time for that. Obviously, spending time with loved ones and friends is important. I love learning. And one of the things that I neglected in the past, when I was so focused on my business, was that I wasn't learning a lot of new stuff outside of my business. I was learning a ton about in the business, but just learning new things. What does that mean? Well, kickboxing was one of the things that I was learning. This year, thinking about salsa is off on the list. Thinking about starting, maybe taking a Mandarin class. Always having just like new and different things that I can learn and contribute to kind of my personal growth. And so, yeah, I would say self-care looks a lot of different ways. Might be a massage, might be a workout, might be learning, but I would say more than anything, it means listening to myself.
Jason, you talked about COVID-19 and financial stability. Talk to people in our audience about that experience, and how do you adjust or readjust or refocus after we don't know what life is going to look like after COVID-19? Is it a such thing as after COVID-19? Talk to our audience.
I guess I'll combine those two. One, I just want to acknowledge that I'm very fortunate. COVID-19 has definitely had an impact on our business. Things have slowed down. But I'm very fortunate because I did not anticipate this was going to happen. I don't think anybody did. But it was clear that we had a recession coming, at some point. And so 3 years ago, I started saving very, very aggressively with the goal of positioning myself for this, for this recession that we were entering into. And obviously COVID-19 is more than a recession. It's a public health crisis. We were already remote, so it didn't really disrupt how we did business because we were already spread out. For us though, things have slowed down. And so really the focus has been obviously first, trying to adjust to this. But I think secondarily, it's been trying to find the opportunity within crisis. Because my philosophy is that in just about every crisis, there is opportunity. And you have to look for it. And that's not to say there's not plenty of pain, sorrow, in some cases tragedy, but there's opportunity. That has been, after making sure that my team is good and doing everything I can for them, that has been my focus, right? Like, where's the opportunity? How can I take advantage of it? And added to that, how can I take advantage of it in a way that not only, enriches myself and my business partners, but also helps other people? And so that's been the question. And so I think if I were giving advice to people, I can't give you advice about the public health stuff. I'm not the right person for that. But on the financial side, of course, if you've been heavily impacted, you've got to do whatever you can to push through this. But for those of us who have a little bit of space, who are even somewhat okay, I think the advice I would give would be to really think about what are the opportunities here for you. And that opportunity can, manifest itself in so many ways. It could be the business opportunities that you're looking for. It could be a career change that you're thinking about. Or it could be, as the revelation I had is, asking yourself, well, am I taking care of myself in the way that I really want to? Am I, living the life that I want to? And really taking some time to reflect and evaluate what changes you might want to make to your life. And so I think that, I think that's kind of how I think about it. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Jason, speaking of money and finances, how did you personally finance your business?
Oh, that was a journey for sure. I would just say that funding your business, especially for African American entrepreneurs, can be very, very challenging. Initially, there are a few things. So first, I put in my own money. I've always been a saver, and I literally, saved up as much as possible, going into it. And so that was the first financing. But then I reached out to friends and family. And, and truthfully, it was really friends. And I'm fortunate that I'm a Ron Brown Scholar. And the Ron Brown Scholar program is just a phenomenal program for African Americans, high school students going to college who have demonstrated leadership, academic excellence, and a commitment to community. And it's a lifelong network of folks who have become like family to me. I reached out to a lot of, my fellow scholars, none of whom come from money, but because we are like family, many of them were willing to, invest. And they became some of my first friends and family investors. And some of them, could only put in $1,000. But that was my first $14,000 that went into this business. And that $14,000, this is crazy. That $14,000 took 3 months to raise. Isn't that crazy? It was really just bootstrapping and not taking a salary for literally 2 years. My co-founder came on board. I mean, we've got some stories. We had a mentor who was actually kind of a friend of the reimagine Scholar program, and he became the general manager for a national basketball team. And to help us out, he basically offered my co-founder a part-time job, basically providing life coaching to one of their players who was really struggling. And my co-founder had started a nonprofit and worked with a lot of youth who are in leadership and developing life skills. And they had, at the basketball team, had at this point tried everything. It wasn't working. They said, hey, one last ditch effort. Let's give this guy a shot. Can't hurt. And so literally he went and lived with this professional basketball player for 6 months to earn money for the business. So we got really inventive as we were trying to fund this company.
That is an amazing story. So glad you shared it. Jason, we can learn from successful entrepreneurs or brands. Tell us a brand or a business that is dominating that you admire and why.
I would say a brand that I have found really, really interesting has been Zoom. And I know they've had some issues around security, but one, I think the technology itself works really, really well. Two, I think that if you look at how they responded to this crisis and, one way to not only take advantage of it, but also to provide their platform in many cases, I think, at no cost to a lot of organizations, I think it was kind of like the right mix in terms of taking advantage of opportunity, but also helping, others. And great products, generally good execution. Need to work on security, but good execution. That is one brand that I like quite a bit. I was thinking about buying some Zoom stock last year, which I had.
Jason, what is a technology tool or a technology platform that is a must-have for you in managing your business day to day?
I would say on a day-to-day basis, if there was one, it's probably Zoom, honestly, just because we're all spread out. And if you want to have that sense of connection right now, I think that's the best that you can do. So I would say Zoom.
Who are your top 2 influencers in your life, and what lessons do they teach you?
Sure. So I would say that one of the top influencers is a woman named Merlene Wilson. And she has been a mentor of mine since I was 13. She is like a second mother / grandmother to me. And she is an example of generosity of spirit and love. And I have seen her, she's, had a tragic life. She saw her son die as a relatively young adult. Her daughter was born with a mild retardation and just experienced some really challenging times, and has taken that pain, and instead of allowing it to crush her or warp her spirit, has really used that as a catalyst to change the lives of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of young people and young Black folks. And she, more than anything, has just taught me what it means to be generous of spirit. And I think she is very much responsible, I would say, has contributed in a major way to my desire to do work that enriches my community and gives back to others. I would say she is definitely one of my top influencers. And then, my father, who's actually deceased, and it's funny because comparatively, we did not spend that much time together, but the time we spent, he just imparted in me some very valuable lessons. And he was the person who told me to read Destruction of Black Civilization and Non-Violent Civilization and how Europe underdeveloped Africa. And I think that he played just a major role in the development of my identity as a Black person and as a Black man. Even beyond encouraging me towards entrepreneurship. I really appreciate that. And I think that also from reading those books and gaining some of that understanding, it also really impressed upon me the importance of history, and not only knowing your history, but just knowing history in general. Because I think so much of what we hear in the world today is inaccurate. And, you have people saying all kinds of things. But if you understand history and if you apply critical thinking, then you will come to very different conclusions about what is actually happening, what is actually possible, and about the path that we need to go down as individuals, but even I would say the path that we need to go down as a country, and even I would say as a global community.
Jason, did your dad get an opportunity to see your success, and did you get an opportunity to share with him how much he impacted your life?
He got an opportunity to see me graduate from college, but not, I would say, to see, how a lot of that has come to fruition. And, and it was years, and truthfully, it was years later when I really started to have an understanding of the impact he had on me. So unfortunately, I did not get to share with him just how much he impacted me.
Thank you for sharing that. What book would you recommend, Jason, and why?
I'm going to say there's a book called Willpower Doesn't Work. And actually 2 books. Willpower Doesn't Work. I'm sorry. Every time you ask me for something, I give you more than one. But Willpower Doesn't Work. And the second book, I think, is Happy Spending. And so Willpower Doesn't Work is all about how environments and systems determine outcomes. And while it's great to have willpower, it's great, we have folks who are quote unquote special and can somehow, exceed despite harsh environments. But the fact is, if you change an environment and you change the systems, outcomes will change real quick. And I think having that understanding is really important, because I think a lot of times, a lot of solutions are Band-Aids when we really need, systematic change. And I would say, for the other one, it's really about how do you spend money in a way so as to maximize your happiness life. And so it's not all about saving as much as possible. Saving is very important, but we're not just saving to save. Money is a tool. You use that tool to get what you need. If you use it in the right ways, then it can enhance. Money can't give you happiness, but it can enhance the happiness that you have.
Jason, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would ask yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I think if I conducted this interview, one major question I would ask would be, what can I do for those who are coming behind me? Whether that is my child or my cousin or, someone else. And, the way I would answer that question is, one of the biggest things you can do for, someone is to teach them about money early. Believe it or not, I started learning about money when I was 5. That's when I got my first savings account, and that's how I learned how to save. And if you teach people about money early, they will not be intimidated by it. And if you teach them not only about, how to save money and how to invest money, but even about different careers that they can go into that make money, then their relationship with money will be fundamentally different, and their ability to navigate that aspect of their life will look head and shoulders above what it has been for previous generations. And we hear, I think, more and more often the term generational wealth. And, generational wealth doesn't have to be extremely challenging. You don't have to start a business that makes tens of millions or billions of dollars. That's great. Do it. I encourage it. But you don't have to do that. You can just make good financial decisions and make a decent income, and you will have something to pass along to the next generation. And if you can help young people to start early, then literally you can change not only their outcomes, but you can change the outcomes of the next generation in a major way.
So, Jason, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old grandchildren and a 4-month-old. And so we're going to take the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old. What advice, what app or platform would you recommend that I recommend to them to learn about money?
So I will say that I haven't done much for children that young, but what I will say is one of the most important things you can start to teach them is delayed gratification. And you don't need an app or a platform to teach them that skill. So I'll give you an example that may not be relevant to the 4-year-old. Like I said, I started this at 5. So my mom gave me an allowance starting at 5. And I put 20% of that in, I tithed to church, and 20% I was going to save, and the other 60% I could spend how I wanted. And, I would go to the gas station, store, and I would buy like Slim Jims and candy. But I knew I only had $3. Or I went to the ice cream truck, $3. That's all I had. I had to make that last for the week because I wasn't going to get any more until the next week. That experience was how I learned how to save at a pretty young age. I think that even at, say, for instance, age 4, you can play with delayed gratification. And that doesn't have to be money even. It can just be something as simple as if you get them to wait, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or they have to go do something in order to earn something. And obviously in a very simplistic way, but that's something that you can start at age 4. You might only get 5 minutes out of it, but by the time they're 5, 6, and 7, they have that concept. You throw in real money on top of it, and you have the basics. And then there's clock investing, right? And I apologize, I don't know exactly what platform would be good for that age. But one thing I can say is when they get a little bit older, maybe 7, 8, or 9, there is a mobile game we created called Thrive and Shine. It's really for kids who are a little bit older than that, but younger kids who are 8, 9, 10 can play it, and they'll have questions that they may ask their parents. When we our experiences, when 9-year-olds play it, they'll ask things like, what are these taxes? Why is someone stealing my money? And it's an opportunity to explain what a tax, how taxes work to them, income taxes. So those are some of the things I would say start. Delayed gratification, and then eventually if you, give, the child, maybe 5 or 6, starting an allowance, and, basically having them save a portion of that. It's just an automatic thing. They have to save that money. And then giving them another portion that they can spend on things that they want. And, and obviously, you'll still buy their clothes, but there might be candy or whatever it is that they have to buy for themselves. And they have to make decisions as to how they're going to spend their money on that. And that is something that can be really helpful in teaching young people.
Jason, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered, your legacy?
My legacy, really, I mentioned this term, financial self-actualization. And I really believe in the power of people. I believe that people have tremendous potential and are capable of amazing things. And my legacy, I really want to be remembered for helping people to realize their full potential, and particularly when it comes to money. And that's where that financial self-actualization comes from. This idea that, self-actualization is so much more than money, but as I think I've said a few times, money is this tool that can enhance everything you're trying to do, or it can be this roadblock to your progress. And I want to be remembered for helping people remove those roadblocks and getting to where they're capable of getting to.
Jason, we've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer them quickly. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Sure.
The last movie you saw?
Let's just say Coco.
You relax doing what?
Reading fantasy.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Rapper Ludacris.
Your favorite dance song?
I don't have one, actually.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Every week, I am eating a banana.
Hit the gym or hit the couch?
Hit the gym.
Your favorite month?
Favorite month is July.
Jason, we want to thank you so much for being a part of our Family Bee podcast. But before we let you go, what is the best way for our audience to connect with you and support your business ventures?
Sure. The best way is definitely email Jason at mindblownlabs.com. That's mind, M-I-N-D, blown, B-L-O-W-N, labs, L-A-B-S.com. And once again, I think the two best ways would be if you have an interest in getting started investing and you have not started, I would love to hear from you. I'm doing research on a new tool to help people do that. So please drop me an email. And for our current business ventures, we're always trying to connect with financial institutions and I would say and or nonprofits who are interested in developing or licensing, think mobile apps to engage people around saving and investing.
Thank you, Jason. That's a wrap.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.